afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Star Wars Headlines here at laughingplace.com. We're live discussing the latest in the world of Star Wars. I'm Rebecca Mosley, the co-founder of Laughing Place, and with me is our editorial director of Star Wars content and our lead Southern California reporter, Mike Celestino. How's it been, Mike?
Good, very busy getting ready for Star Wars Celebration 1 week from today.
I know the countdown feels like it's really, really on.
Yep, it's gonna be a busy, crazy week. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Celebration app went live. Even though I'm not going, I've already started kind of browsing it myself just to see some of the fun that'll be available. The various presenters and exhibitors in the large exhibit hall as well. So yeah, just a lot of exciting stuff. But I guess kind of to get everybody excited about it, Vanity Fair had a cover story that's been kind of the talk of the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, this is kind of a bombshell that hit a couple days ago. When I got up in the morning, I saw that it was, the quotes were already going around and people were excited about some stuff and angry about a lot of stuff. And the usual response from Star Wars news coming out. But the big things that stuck out to me as we learned about a new Star Wars TV series that had not been revealed before from the director of the recent Spider-Man trilogy, Jon Watts. He's going to be making a series that was inspired by the coming-of-age adventure films made by Amblin in the 80s, which to me said only one thing, the Goonies. I don't know what else they could possibly be referencing there, but they're casting 4, 11, and 12-year-old kids, I guess. I'm super intrigued by this idea. I think it could be really cool. When I brought it up on the podcast, my guests said that, they always take this kind of thing with a grain of salt. And like you, they always wait for this thing to enter into production before they get too excited about it. So yeah, it is probably something we'll hear more about at Celebration.
Did they give any kind of hint as to the kind of the Star Wars time frame for this one yet, or just the coming of age element?
I believe they said it's set between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, so maybe something to do with Luke's Jedi Academy. I don't know.
That would be so much fun. Okay, I'm not going to get excited.
The other stuff that we learned, we got an update on Rian Johnson's trilogy that was announced back in 2017. Mm-hmm. So 5 years it's been really since we got an update on this officially. But the reporter asked Kathleen Kennedy what's going on with that, and she basically said he's too busy now, which is, to me, that's code for we're not doing it anymore. I don't know. How do you interpret that?
I don't know, except I would usually take it that way, except for Knives Out was just such a phenomenon, and I'm sure that they want more of that, and I could even see that kind of becoming its own franchise in a way where you have several. Mm-hmm. So if it weren't for that, I would totally be in the same camp as you, but I don't. That was just such a big phenomenon that I'm kind of. It feels like maybe in this case he just doesn't have the time, because one of the things that the article brought forth was the idea that they're now trying to make sure that people understand a Star Wars commitment is a commitment. It's like it's not something where you're kind of one and done, you're in and out real fast. It's something where you have to give them a couple of years of it time and investment. So yeah. I'm not totally shutting it down yet, but I think that's because I enjoyed what he did with Star Wars, and so I don't want to let it go.
I find that quote very interesting about what she's saying about a commitment, because as we kind of learned in this article, it seems like the next movie now is going to be Taika Waititi's movie, because Rogue Squadron it's getting bumped back because of Patty Jenkins being too busy. Maybe that's what inspired this new rule there or something. But It seems like Taika Waititi himself is incredibly busy and probably doesn't have time to commit to a 3-picture deal or whatever with Star Wars. He's probably, my guess is he's going to do this one and then just go on to do other stuff, because he's got so many irons in the fire on every level. He does indie movies and TV shows and Marvel and and Star Wars. It's like this guy pops up everywhere nowadays. He's even in Lightyear as a voice actor. So I don't know how they would keep him tied to Star Wars for a long-term commitment like
And
that.
some of my favorite elements of the article were the kind of the actor-based stories. They shared some anecdotes from the actor Diego Luna regarding Andor and the realities of trying to keep a secret. Rosario Dawson's tale of her role, trying to share her joy in her role of Ahsoka with a young relative who also was a fan. I enjoyed that moment as well. So yeah, I guess for me, a lot of those kind of like personal anecdotes from the actors really resonated. The part that frustrated me, and even more so when I read they also had an additional interview, kind of a more in-depth with Kathleen Kennedy, was what they seem to have taken away from Solo. And it's, I guess, disappointing box office would be the way to put it. And that is this notion that somehow audiences can't embrace anyone other than Harrison Ford in the role of Solo.
It's a very strange thing to say for a number of reasons, because next week we have the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming out starring Ewan McGregor, who did not originate that role. He replaced Alec Guinness, one of the most famous, most legendary actors to ever hit the silver screen, as a younger version of that character, and was embraced, fortunately. When it comes to Han Solo being played by Harrison Ford, she says we would never do Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford, but they've done Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. In fact, they've done the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles without Harrison Ford. He was in one episode, but yeah, it's such a weird thing to say. Like, she almost forgot her own history there. And I'm a defender of Kathleen Kennedy. I think by and large, I have liked, I would say 85 to 90% of what they've put out, I have liked in the Disney era of Star Wars. So it's just an odd thing to say. I guess
for me, even like within that very film, because you have Lando Calrissian being portrayed by Donald Glover, right? That I'm okay.
Yes.
And that was so embraced to the point where there was all this hope that we would see more of him in the role in the future.
Well, not only that, they have officially announced a Lando series. Now, what's happening with that, I don't know. Are we going to learn more about that next week? Maybe, but it seems like based on that quote, maybe not. But that was Lando, the live action series. I mean, they never said Donald Glover was officially attached to it. I don't know who else. It's not going to be Billy D. Williams. He's 80 years old or something. So it's like, I don't understand that. Even that announcement came. That was, I don't even remember when that was announced.
Me either.
A year and a half ago, or maybe it was years after Solo had come out, for sure. So I don't know. I'm very confused sometimes with some of the things that Kathleen Kennedy says, and I would love. I mean, I kind of wish that Anthony Breznican was I think that was the name of the author of that Vanity Fair piece. I kind of wish he was a little bit more of a Star Wars guy so he could follow up some of that stuff, because I think like, oh, well, that doesn't strike me as entirely true what you're saying or authentic. And I just wish, I don't know if it's Disney being overly controlling or if it is Lucasfilm internally, but there's some kind of disconnect between what like, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I feel like I know when I'm not getting the whole story behind the scenes, and that frustrates me.
Perhaps in this case, we were dealing with a bit of recency bias, because I think this interview would have been done kind of in that afterglow of the Harrison Ford Indy 5 stuff, maybe. So, because I know the interview that produced this article would have happened months ago. So perhaps there was a bit of that going on. Let's see. Evil Queen says, I think the bigger deal is Harrison Ford is a much bigger actor than any of those. Many of the originals are not as well known. Yeah, perhaps it is that his name has more bank at the box office, as it were. But it just breaks my heart, because we're seeing so many interesting stories develop around characters we adore. Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, some of what they're creating with the novelizations, with the comics. I mean, I enjoy them. And the thought that because Harrison Ford has to be Solo, these may be off the table in realizing them in a live action sense is disappointing. I can't think of any other way to put it, but disappointing. I was kind of hoping that we would see these characters kind of evolve in more of a James Bond-esque way, in that there's certain realities to what you need in the role, but it doesn't necessarily have to be those particular actors.
I mean, I would agree. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would agree that, if Han Solo is like mid-30s, which is the age that he is at the beginning of the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy, don't replace him in that age. But in his 20s, I'm fine with Alden Ehrenreich playing him. Like, we can suspend our disbelief that it's not the same actor, and it's part of the Star Wars tradition to replace actors in that way.
One of the other elements of this story, to kind of get me off my continuing complaint about this, but was the discussion of bringing Grogu into the story, and the way that Kathleen brought together Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who were kind of, it sounds like we're in essence working on Mandalorian themed ideas, but separate from each other, that maybe in some ways weren't necessarily completely compatible in a way. And so it was interesting to hear how she brought them together, and then the laborious nature of the decision to have a Yoda-like character enter the pantheon in that, through the Mandalorian. So these were some of the highlights of the article. Mike did a great recap, bullet points of what's throughout the article, but also be sure to check out that Vanity Fair piece, because the images that Annie Leibovitz, those are stunning as well. Lots of really beautiful images of the various actors who are bringing these new series to life. We'll move on to books, Mike. There's some cover art.
Yeah, this is the upcoming novel called The Princess and the Scoundrel by Beth Revis. And it's about Han Solo and Princess Leia's wedding on Endor, and then their honeymoon that follows on the Halcyon, which you can see in the upper right corner of that image there. So yeah, people complained about that. I mean, people complained about everything, but they complained when that got announced. It's a little too synergistic to have the Galactic Star Cruiser involved with the story. But I'm excited. I'm excited to read this. It should be fun. Now, you had an issue with this cover. I remember you saying when it came.
I just didn't. Leia's face is too soft for me in this. I don't know. There's something about when I first saw this picture. For me, this felt more like Padme than it feels like Leia. And so I've warmed up to it over time, trying to think that maybe kind of in that bridal mode, that maybe you're kind of, her guard is down more. And I don't know. Oh, Kyle is bringing up the fact that the other day, the Disney CFO, I guess, was having a bit of a little moment trying to recall the exact phrase for what we call the Galactic Star Cruiser. Yeah. So, but I'm excited for the title. This definitely didn't decrease my excitement for that adventure. Seeing the Ewok village decked out there, and the Halcyon off in the distance. So continuing adventures on the Halcyon, Mike, the latest comic in the Halcyon Legacy series has appeared.
Yeah, so this issue was about Padme and Anakin's time aboard the Halcyon. They went undercover on a mission to track down a traitor to the Republic. And then in the present, quote unquote, there's a continuing story about Captain Kevin and Lenka Mock fighting off some pirates. But yeah, most of the story, some of the illustrations here are a little goofy, as you can see. Boy, that's just a striking image right there.
That one just, yeah, it took me a moment to really kind of wrap my head around what I was looking at.
Right.
So, but I enjoyed this one because this is the climate simulator, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was neat to see a place I recognize from real world.
What I noticed and mentioned in my review about this issue is that in previous issues, they are on the ship, but you can't really see the backgrounds that much. And in this issue, suddenly, like, oh, that's the atrium, that's the climate simulator, that's the bridge. You know, like, I feel like this, when he was illustrating this issue, the artist had suddenly gotten access to images from the real ship,
Yeah,
because now it's suddenly pitch perfect. Yeah, because I know these comics will have months and months of lead time before he has to have the artwork in, and they were being very secretive, probably even to people working on the official comic adaptation. He just probably didn't know, like, what does this actually look like on the inside, so he kind of disguised it for the first couple issues. That would be my guess. I actually tweeted at him that question, but he did not respond to me, so I'm taking that as a yes.
And Snatchmaster making sure we all know the most important things in life are simply bears, beats, Battlestar Galactica. One doesn't really need more than that, even though this is Star Wars headlines. I am a Galactica girl first. And my husband is late. Shame on you. Continuing with Mike's reviews of the latest comics. We've got Han Solo and Chewbacca. Is that Greedo?
Yeah, Greedo's a big part of this comic. He's a hesitant team member of Han's. They have to go to Corellia to perform this heist for Jabba the Hutt, and they don't get along that well, Han and Greedo, which pays off later on, as you know. But we also get to meet somebody claiming to be Han's father, and that is a big question in this issue. Like, is this guy really Han's dad? He seems to know a lot about him. He has a little hollow image of them together when they were younger, but I still don't think it's him. I think they wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think they would do this in a comic, but Han pointed first. Yes, it's big. The Harrison Ford one finger, as they call it.
So that's the latest issue of Han Solo and Chewbacca. One of the things you pointed out in your review, Mike, was considering his name is in the title, Chewie hasn't had much of a role.
Yeah, I almost feel like they called this Han Solo and Chewbacca because we got a comic previously called Star Wars Han Solo that came out like 5 years ago. That was like a little mini series. So this, I mean, Chewie is there. He's on this mission, but he's in like 3 panels of this whole issue, and he wasn't heavily featured in the first one either. I'm hoping that he has more to do, but it is really much more about Han than it is Chewie.
And we mentioned Indiana Jones earlier in our discussion of headlines, and I guess that is also a part of the inspiration for Dr. Aphra.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed this issue. It's kind of the culmination of this big quest that these characters have been on, that find this thing called the Spark Eternal, which is a piece of ancient technology that like replicates the Force, basically. And Dr. Aphra and her friend Sana Staros have returned to the university where they studied on the planet Barleth, and their frenemy, I would call her, right there with the pink or reddish hair, her name, or their name, is Kofan Faros, I think. And the professor there are trying to access this technology by performing this blood sacrifice at this altar, and then there's a big battle that breaks out between everybody, and it's pretty fun. There's a big, like, shocking twist ending that I don't even want to spoil here, but it was pretty interesting, and we'll find out what happens next month.
Yeah, I liked how that's pretty much what your review was. There's an amazing ending. We'll talk about it next month because I don't want to spoil it. So be sure and check out Dr. Aphra issue 20. And you were saying that you feel like with this issue, they're leaning even more into that kind of Indiana Jones-esque storytelling and character development.
Yeah, it very much feels like an Indiana Jones, and Aphra has had that influence from the very beginning, but some of this stuff feels taken like right out of Temple of Doom and stuff like that. So definitely enjoy that aspect of it.
And today we were sharing a little bit of new news from Dark Horse, and that is a couple of new titles are going to be coming from that publishing house.
Yeah, so they had announced some months ago that Dark Horse was getting back into the Star Wars game. They had the rights to Star Wars comics from the early 90s up until like 2015 when Marvel took it back over. So really it was like 25 years of Dark Horse Star Wars comics, and had a great legacy of titles coming out during that period. And then it was Marvel, and then IDW was doing the kind of family-friendly comics. But now it seems like today they announced the actual titles that we're going to be getting from Dark Horse again, and it seems like they've just taken those titles away from IDW and put them in Dark Horse's hands, because we used to get Star Wars Adventures from IDW, and now it's called Star Wars Galactic Stories or something. Hyperspace Stories, yeah. It just seems like the same concept, because they said it's little short stories taken from all over the timeline, which is exactly what Star Wars Adventures used to be. And then they used to do these like kid-friendly horror type stories from IDW. There was like Vader's Castle, and I think they did Jabba's Palace or something like that. But now there's Tales from the Rancor Pit, which is, I mean, it's very obviously a continuation of that anthology series, but it's now going to be from Dark Horse Comics. But I mean, these are all fun, and like I said, they're targeted at a bit of a younger audience, but definitely still worth checking out. I was just curious, like, what happened behind the scenes that caused Lucasfilm to go switch from IDW back over to Dark Horse as this kind of secondary licensee for the Star Wars comic books.
And we see Kevin Scott, the familiar author, his name on one of the storylines here for Tales from the Rancor Pit. That's going to be arriving October 19th at your local comic book location. And the other title, Hyperspace, is going to be coming in August 10th. So be sure to check your local comic book shops for those new titles coming from Dark Horse. Celebration is just around the corner, and they've been continuing to make announcements about the types of presentations and exhibits that you're going to find. Rancho Obi-Wan's going to be bringing some Mandalorian items.
Yeah, the exhibit's called The Evolution of the Mandalorians. Rancho Obi-Wan has a exhibit at pretty much every Star Wars celebration, so this is the theme that they're going with, and I'm sure it's just going to be collectibles that depict Mandalorians going all the way back to probably the rocket firing Boba Fett. That'll probably be in a very strongly locked glass case there on the floor. Did we have? I wanted to talk about my friend's book, the Today in Star Wars History.
Yeah, let me make sure I'll pull that up while I'll let you talk about the various panels and the fact that I'll let you talk about this next item while I look that up.
Sure. They're going to be doing a live stream from Star Wars Celebration, where if you're not there, if you don't have the opportunity to go, or if you missed a panel and you want to go back and check it out later, you can go and check it out on, I think it's the official Star Wars YouTube channel. Is that where they're doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's going to be panels, interviews, and more from. Okay, so my buddy Rich Woloski, the co-host of the Skywalking Through Neverland podcast, has written a book called Today in Star Wars History Part 1, and his wife and fellow co-host has contributed a lot of images to it. She also did the layout for it, which I found out in my podcast when they were guests. And I just wanted to recommend it, that you go and purchase it. It's available on skywalkingthroughneverland.com. It's a nice reference book, basically going into detail on what happened on every day. Like if your birthday was April 10th or something, you could go and look at April 10th and it'll list all the things that happened, not in the fictional universe, but in the real world in our universe, but related to Star Wars. Like if a certain episode of a Star Wars TV series premiered that day, it would be there, or a actor's birthday, or somebody died, or actually they've got a lot of production information, which I found interesting. It was like, okay, they shot the trash compactor scene or whatever on this date. So very interesting reference book, and I learned a lot going through it.
And you said that you spoke with them on your podcast?
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
They were a guest this week for my Celebration preview episode.
Continuing with Celebration news, there's going to be some after hours autographed opportunities, so be sure to check for more information about that. And we did a merchandise preview, and I don't know, Mike, if you had a chance to kind of peruse any of this yet, so I thought I'd show you a couple of the items that maybe I thought were particularly adorable or bemusing. For example, the Frog Lady plush. We were commenting on that on Barely Necessities. We actually discussed a few of these items over there, but this one is the one that I was envisioning that Mike Celestino could end up bringing home with him. It's a cooler, I think.
I have to say this was the one that intrigued me the most of everything, but then I ultimately decided, like, I probably don't need anything this year. Like, I have to like tamp down my merchandise purchasing. But yeah, if I had to buy something, this would probably be it. But I think we're good on coolers. I do like the idea of the Camtono being a cooler. Yeah,
I love that idea of like a little lunch thing. By the way, Javier is asking, is there more information about second season of Bad Batch?
There certainly will be. Sunday of next week at Star Wars Celebration, there's a big panel about the Bad Batch, and I am certain we'll get, at the very least, a trailer and hopefully a date for when that's coming back, probably later on this year, as you said.
I thought it was adorable that they're offering a reunion tour shirt for Max Rebo and Drew McCool. The hashtags for the various phrases and individuals who are kind of carrying the Star Wars saga forward currently. Also a shirt for Mos Pelgo, which they let you know is also known as Freetown. But this one, I was debating with Becca the other day. This is the humor here is a little on the dark side there.
It hadn't hit me until you just said it. I didn't make the connection, but yeah, I see. Okay,
Mike,
saying.
Just even look at the smaller text here. It talks about it being a dark roast, and then it goes on to say with full robust body and a unique smoky aroma.
Yeah. That's choice. Wow.
Somebody was having a little bit of a dark humor day, but we were trying to figure out the Hutt's choice aspect of it.
I don't know.
I was thinking I would have gone with Jawas.
Yeah.
I would have gone with a Jawas choice because it feels, I feel like that they would have had more dealings with that, but I don't know. Maybe this is I don't know. And then a Jango Fett windbreaker because they are offering a variety of items in celebration of the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. So over at Toynk Toys, a variety of tikis are out there. We've got Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, a Dark Trooper. But the one that caught my eye, Mike, was the scenic tiki. It's images from Mandalorian, and you've got Frog Lady, those ice spider things that I'm sure have a name other than ice spider things, as well as. I'm sorry.
That's what I call them. I'm sure they do have a name, but I don't remember it.
And you've got Ahsoka, the Darksaber, Grogu. So just a nice kind of representation of the highlights of the recent Mandalorian season, including Luke's arrival and his standoff against the Dark Troopers. So these are items that are making their debut at Celebration, and then we will hopefully see them additionally available over at Toynk Toys. RockLove is going to have their newest additions to their Kyber crystal collection. We've now got Mace Windu, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Yoda finally available from RockLove in that continuing collection of various crystals and saber hilts. So yeah, if you needed a chia pet, you've got a Grogu chia pet coming as well. So yeah, lots of fun items are arriving at Star Wars Celebration, but D23 is reminding you this is the 30th anniversary of Star Tours and the 45th anniversary of A New Hope, and they are releasing commemorative pins in celebration of that. So be sure and check out the links below for more information about those items. And Mike, you got to do an unboxing.
Yes, Jasco is a company that has sent over. Previously, they've sent over some night lights from Star Wars and The Mandalorian. I remember I had a Death Star one. I still have it. There's a Darth Vader helmet one and some others from Mandalorian and stuff. But this time they sent over these string lights, which I really did not have a lot of time last week to do an unboxing, but I very quickly put it together, and they emailed me. They were like, well, we love your unboxing. That was great. Yay. So I guess it worked. Out. But yeah, there's a Grogu one that's just Grogu every time, and then there's one with Grogu and the Mandalorian's helmet, Din Djarin's helmet, that alternates between the two of them. And then he also sent me over this thing called the Galaxy Wave Projector, which it's just kind of like projecting a star field on your wall, but it also has cool effects like the red ripples. I guess they figured this would appeal to Star Wars fans, even though it's not officially Star Wars licensed, but it does play sounds. It has like different type of soothing sounds, like a babbling brook and rain falling, that kind of thing. And there's music, there's like meditation music, but the effects are very pleasing. We've been using it. We like it a lot. It's our kind of thing. We're going to use it. I feel like it could be used for relaxation, or also like if you have a gathering or a party of some kind, you could put on. They have different color schemes for different holidays, Halloween, Christmas, and stuff like that. So very cool items from Jasco.
I actually have a Starfield projector that I have every night. It illuminates the ceiling with a nice array. It's very similar to what was pictured here with the slow moving little laser stars kind of around. And yes, it's very nice way to just kind of drift off to sleep with that above your head. So I am a big fan. So be sure and check out Mike's unboxing and review of those items. As we begin to wrap up, Mike, want to remind people that Who's the Bossk? Episode 102 is a Celebration 2022 preview. I am thrilled for you guys to be together in person, and I look forward to everything that's going to come out of that event.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And the episode before that, I wanted to mention, since we hadn't done a headline since then, we talked about the 3rd anniversary of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge with Mike Farnham, who's the founder of a fan website, swgalaxiesedge.com. And the end of the month is going to be the actual anniversary, but there's just so much going on next week that I thought we'd do it a couple weeks early, so you can check that out as well.
The 45th anniversary of Star Wars, they're using it for A New Hope, right? That's what the celebratory pin was, if I remember correctly. So let's see. And finally, Mike, everybody is very excited as we are not only in our final countdown to Celebration, but the final episode of Lodico's Adventures.
Yeah, so if you tune into the Laughing Place YouTube channel tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., you'll get to see the premiere of Antiquities, a Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser story, part 5. It's the 5th and final installment. It is a little over 8 minutes long, so it's not terribly long. I don't want to get people's hopes up as far as the length goes, but I am really proud of the quality of what we were able to put together, and I think it wraps up the story pretty well.
it's hard to believe that this series is reaching its finale. I have very much enjoyed following your Halcyon adventures. I'm intrigued by where will Lodico end up when it comes to the Force. He was clearly skeptical, somewhat antagonistic towards these mystical beliefs. So I'm interested to see what happened to him with the experiences aboard the Halcyon. So that will be here on our YouTube channel. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And next week, Mike, you will be at Star Wars Celebration, surrounded by thousands of fellow Star Wars fans.
Correct. Very much looking forward to this. I'm actually going to head down to Orange County on Tuesday, which is really like when the first like pre-party stuff starts happening. And then I'll be there through Monday. So it's going to be like pretty much a full week of Star Wars. Not that I don't spend my entire life consuming Star Wars every day. So, but this will be live and in person, as you said. Great to be back in the company of other Star Wars fans and in a celebratory, positive environment like that. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, if you see me, say hi. You get a Who's the Bossk button. If you happen to cross paths with me, I'll be happy to give you one of those. And you may see a certain Lodico Fendon around too. So keep your eyes peeled for him.
So I want to remind you to follow at Who's the Bossk Pod for Mike's adventures and Star Wars updates. We also keep you up to date on all things within the Disney company action, whether it's the theme parks, Star Wars, and also obviously the Lucasfilm umbrella, Marvel. So if you want to keep on top, National Geographic, all things Disney company, follow us at Laughing Place and on Instagram. With that, I guess we'll say see you next time when we will be sharing all the fun of Star Wars Celebration. Bye for now.